Okay, I'm just going to let the delegations in here, or the zoning bylaws.
Okay.
Uh-oh. We lost him.
No.
Oh, no.
We're waiting.
Okay, Mayor Martin, you may proceed with the meeting.
All right, thank you. I'll call this meeting to our Zoom meeting Tuesday, September 8th. I welcome all of staff to the meeting and that we're able to make it, and the visitors that we have probably with regards to some of the public meetings that we have. I'll ask everyone to put their phones on vibrate if they're able to, and to save any distractions. And I'll remind council of the declaration of pecuniary interest if it arises. With that, we have minutes from the council meeting on October 24th. I'll look for a motion to receive those if they're in order. Moved by Councillor Webb, seconded by Councillor Pomeroy. All in favor? And that's carried. Next, we're going to look for a motion to go into a public meeting for a zoning bylaw amendment for Leonard and Karen Stadler, or Penny. Anyways, I'll look for a motion to go into the public meeting. Moved by Councillor Ellis, seconded by Deputy Mayor Giroux. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, we have a zoning bylaw amendment for Leonard and Karen Stadler. This is a statutory meeting held under Section 34 of the Planning Act. The owners applicants are Leonard and Karen Stadler. The property is described as part of Lot 5 and 6, Concession 5, having a municipal address 200 Fire Route 67, Methuen Ward, having a property roll number of 1531-010-005-22402. Any person may attend the public meeting and or make verbal or written representation either in support or in opposition of the proposed zoning bylaw amendment. If a person or a public body does not make oral submission at a public meeting or make written submission to the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen before the proposed zoning bylaw is passed, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen to the local planning appeal tribunal. If a person or public body does not make an oral submission at the public meeting or make written submissions to the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen before the proposed zoning bylaw amendment is passed, the person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of the appeal before the local planning appeal tribunal unless, in the opinion of the tribunal, there are reasonable grounds to add the person or public body as a party. If you wish to be notified of the passing of the zoning bylaw amendment, you must make a written request to the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen. With that, I'll pass it over to Laura.
Thank you. Good morning, Council. As the Mayor mentioned, the owners are Leonard and Karen Stadler. The agent for this application is EcoView Consulting, and Beverly Saunders is the representative. The zoning for this property is seasonal residential, and the official plan designation is shoreline residential. The recommendation for this particular report is that, subject to any new information or public comments received prior to or at the statutory public meeting, that this report be received for information. This application proposes a year-round building with a gross floor area of 217.5 square meters exclusive of basement and 314.13 square meters inclusive of the walkout basement, with a setback of 5.18 meters from the high water mark to the deck and 6.6 meters from the high water mark to the single detached permanent dwelling. The proposed area of the deck is 77.4 meters and the height of the proposed structure is 8.54 meters. The proposed septic treatment facility will be located 25.3 meters from the high water mark, and it is proposed to be located to the rear of the dwelling. An environmental impact study was completed by Cambium in 2018 and has undergone peer review by Oak Ridge Environmental. The two agencies have been exchanging comments up to and including 2020. A slope stability study was completed in 2019 and was reviewed by Crow Valley Conservation Authority. A planning justification report was completed by EcoView Consulting in 2018, and a supplementary letter was provided to staff this August, so August 2020. As I mentioned, this report serves to bring council up to speed on the development and the Stadler application.
Okay, thank you, Laura.
You're welcome.
So this has been around for a long time, and there's a lot of things here that they went through to try and get to where we are today. Without having any recommendations, normally we would have a bylaw here to either pass or turn down. At this time, the bylaw would come back to the next meeting if that's council's wish. Is that what I understand?
So if council wishes to make a decision on this application today, a bylaw can be drafted and brought to the September 21st meeting.
Okay, so we do that in the public when we go out of this meeting?
Yeah.
When we go back to our regular meeting. So for now, it would be just to receive this report and move out into the back to our regular meeting.
You can receive it. If council wishes to make a decision on it today, you're welcome to do that as well. Right now in this public meeting? Sorry. It would have to be made in the public meeting, yes. Okay. So what's council's thoughts here? The Stadlers have done a lot of work to get to where we are today. Go ahead, Dave.
Am I on?
Yeah.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, and the rest of council, as you mentioned, Mayor Martin, this has been around a long time. This applicant has been working diligently for a couple of years now. I think it's time, I think it's time to move forward, quite frankly. I mean, we cannot continue to, I don't know the proper terminology, but we can't lead somebody on and on and on without, there's got to be an end to it sometime. And I think the decision should be made today. And I will make that motion that we let them take their next step, whatever that is. Laura, I'll leave that up to you to wordsmith it.
Sure. So through you, Mr. Mayor, we would just follow the regular process of a planning meeting under Section 34 of the Planning Act. So I believe the Stadlers are on the Zoom call, and Beverly Saunders from EcoView is also on the Zoom call. So we can go through that process of asking if there's somebody to speak in favor, speak in opposition, that type of thing. At the end of that, if council would like to put together a Bob, I can't remember the word. A word, if you want to make a motion to approve this application or to deny. Resolution, thank you. Yeah. Then you can do that at the end of this presentation. Okay.
Thank you.
So I would be looking for a seconder if council wishes to carry on, and then we'll go to the first, second, third. So seconded by Councillor Ellis. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, so I'll do the, is there anybody wishing to speak in favor of this application? Hello, Beverly.
Hello. So my name is Beverly Saunders. I work for EcoView Consulting, as was mentioned by Laura. And we've been working on this application for quite a long time. So I'm happy that it's going to move forward for a decision, and I'd like to just provide some background. I know that there's a huge agenda with a lot of pages here, so I just wanted to provide some of the background of what has happened and why we think it should be approved. So I'll start with, I won't go too far into all of the details because Laura has eloquently put that we have been back and forth many times over the last 2 years, including preparing several technical reports and technical addendums to address comments provided by peer reviewers. So I'll just stick to the 5 key points that need to be addressed to approve this application and why we believe we have addressed all of those key issues. So to start, the question is, can we be located further back on the property? So that's issue number 1. So we have located the house and the septic system as far back on the property as we can. So we've worked with public health to determine where the proper location of the septic system is. There has been a suggestion by peer review staff that perhaps we could move the septic system further back if we went into a right-of-way on the northern part of the property. We don't think that that's appropriate because that right-of-way gives access to a property to the west of the property, which is a separate conveyable lot. But also it's not an appropriate location for a septic system. It's a very rocky area. And so it's our understanding that that wouldn't be an appropriate place to place a septic system, and therefore the current location of the septic system in the house is the only location that exists. And if you do want to check, there is a constraints map within your agenda on page 387, which details exactly where the house is located, where the septic is, and why we are unable to move further back. Second is, will we have natural heritage or environmental impacts? We have prepared an environmental impact study, as Laura suggested. We've also prepared 2 addendums to address peer review comments. So we have demonstrated that there is no negative impact from this. We've also demonstrated that we are building within an existing cleared area where we have the least amount of environmental impacts, and that there are mitigation measures we can put in place to prevent any environmental impacts, including erosion and sediment controls and avoiding wildlife habitat or wildlife breeding periods. The third issue is visual impacts. So we have provided a model of the house so that you can see kind of what it will look like from the water, as well as a series of pictures of other houses on Oak Lake so you can see how it compares. In our opinion, it's less intrusive than most houses on Oak Lake, including newly built ones. So that is on page, the existing cottage is on page 340 and 341. The new cottage model is on 343, and the neighborhood pictures are on 315 through 338. So there's quite a few pictures of neighboring properties, so you can take a look at those. The third issue is there a natural hazard on the property, specifically an erosion hazard that would affect the site? So that was the key point of concern of Crow Valley. So we have worked diligently to address this. So we've provided a geotechnical assessment and 2 addendum responses detailing how there is no hazard on this site, is an entirely bedrock, and that is not unstable. And so the erosion hazard, in our opinion, does not exist. And so therefore, any policies associated with that might come from provincial guidelines wouldn't apply in this case, as they apply to erosion hazards, and this isn't one. And then the 5th one is brought up by Crow Valley. So there was a permit issued by Crow Valley Conservation back in 2018. It has since expired because of all of this back and forth. So it was good until February 2020. But as we said, we've been going back and forth for 2.5 years, and so that has since expired. And so we have been speaking to staff about the process for that. And so we will be working with them to attempt to address the comments. They recognize that if there's no alternative location, that we are able to go before the board to request an exception to their policies. And in our opinion, it is justified in this case because there is no hazard on the site, and we will appropriately mitigate everything. So we do have a path moving forward for the permitting, and we don't believe that that should influence this rezoning application. So I think I'll leave it at that. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Len Stadler and I think his wife as well are on the phone in case you have direct questions for them as well.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we've read pretty well everything that's it's been through a lot. So so we do have a motion here. I don't know whether Len or Aaron have anything to add. If not, we can move on here as far as we have a motion to bring it back to the next meeting, a bylaw back to the next meeting. So my computer just shut down, so I'm kind of scrambling here on the one that I'm reading the agenda from. So anyway, so with that, I think that's all we need, Bob, as far as bringing a bylaw back to the next meeting.
Yes, that's correct, Mayor Martin. We do have a resolution moved by Deputy Mayor Giroux, seconded by Councillor Ellis, that the application be approved and that the appropriate bylaw be brought forward at the next council meeting.
Okay, so that's good. We'll do that. It'll come back and we'll see where it goes. This is where normally the bylaws are here and we know where it ends today, but this is where people have an opportunity still to speak to it. So, okay, so with that, then we'll move back into I'll get a motion to move back into our public meeting, or to our regular meeting. Moved by Deputy Mayor Giroux and seconded by Councillor Webb. All in favor? And that's carried. And then I'm going to have to get another motion to go into Committee of Adjustment with Deputy Mayor Giroux in the chair. Moved by Councillor Webb, seconder Councillor Pomeroy. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, Dave, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Martin. I will now call this Committee of Adjustment meeting to order and remind the members of the committee of the requirement to disclose any pecuniary interest if the occasion arises. This public meeting is held under Section 45 of the Planning Act and its regulations. And I will ask Laura to give a report, please.
Thank you very much. So this application is A-07-20. The property owners are Gentian Vermat, I hope I'm saying that right, and Patrick Carew. The agent is Black Point Construction, Holly Richards Conley. The municipal address is 165 Fire Route 85N, roll number 153100007371100, lot 25, concession 9. The area is 0.9 acres. The zoning is seasonal residential island. The official plan designation is shoreline residential and it's in the Methuen ward. The recommendation is that minor variance application A0720 for a deck with a side yard setback of 3 feet located 28.35 meters from the high water mark and a total lot coverage of 8.89% be approved with the following conditions: that the development be done in accordance with the site plan submitted, that any requisite approval be received by applicable approval authorities prior to the building permit being issued, that a building permit be issued within 12 months of the approval of this application and upon submission of the building department of the appropriate application, fees and supporting information as required by the CBO, and that the balance of my report be received. This application is to construct, in addition, an attached deck located 29.57 meters and 26.22 meters respectively from the high water mark. The proposed lot coverage is going from 6.45% to 8.89%. An important note for this particular property is that it's zoned as an island property, but it is accessed via Fire Route 85N. It maintains road access to the driveway of the property. And the reason that I'm stressing this is because a shoreline residential property, or a seasonal residential property rather, has a lot more grace with lot coverage, side yard setback, that type of thing. And this particular property, while it's accessed through a road, is zoned island. So the lot coverage permissible is quite a bit smaller. This application meets the 4 tests of the minor variance as outlined in the report. Additionally, this application meets the intent of the provincial policy statement in Greater Golden Horseshoe, and it is my recommendation that this application be approved with conditions. And I just wanted to make one, nope, never mind, go ahead.
Thank you, Laura, for that. First I'll ask, is the applicant present on today's Zoom meeting?
Hi, yes, I'm Holly Richards-Conley. I'm here representing Genshin and Patrick.
Okay, thank you. So is there anyone present wishing to speak in opposition of this application that might be on our Zoom meeting this morning? I'll ask that once again. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Okay, thank you. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of this application then? No remarks? All right, I'll just open it up to council members or the committee members. Any questions or Councillor Pomeroy?
I'd like to make a motion. We approve the recommendation with the recommendations.
That's easy enough. We have a mover, Councillor Pomeroy, and seconded by Councillor Webb. Any more discussion? Mayor Martin?
Yeah, we did have a letter sent to us today. I had a call on Friday night about it, just that they were watching this as it proceeded. So anyways, and it all looks like it's all minor in nature. So yeah, I'm with you on this. I just wanted to say we did receive a letter and some comments. So,
any further comments? Thank you, Mayor Martin. All in favor of the motion? That motion is carried. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
I'll ask for a motion to turn the gavel back over to the mayor. Join our regular meeting, Councillor Ellis and Councillor Pomeroy. All in favor? Carried.
okay, thank you, Dave. That's moving right along here. We're going to move into delegations. And our first delegation is from Sierra Planning and Management with regards to our Parks and Recreation Master Plan. This is something we've been waiting for a long time. We were going to get at it in March and then COVID shut us down. So I just want to welcome the group and Ryan, thank you for getting this together and I look forward to it. So Sierra Planning.
Yeah, good morning. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, for some reason, I'm not sure. Yeah, start my video. There we go. So you can see my face. There you go. Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'll just bring up the presentation. Is that okay on screen if I share the screen?
That would be good.
Okay. It says the host has disabled participant screen sharing. So if you could let me share the screen and then I'll be able to do it.
Okay, Bianca.
All right, if you want to try that again now, sorry about that.
No worries at all. Thank you. Can everyone see that screen if I move it a little bit?
Yeah, that's the part that makes everybody scared that they lost the whole video. So
yeah, so you can see this. Yeah. Yeah, so there it is in presentation view. So let me get on with it so that I don't hold everybody up. Firstly, thank you very much for allowing us to be on the slate for today. I know that council meetings are busy. And so we'll do our best to be quick. We did want to, in working with, Ryan, we wanted to make sure that we got this back on the burner because they're just to remind everybody. And with a couple of these slides that we'll go through are very much to remind everybody about this process and this plan that's out there, and that we don't want it to be stale dated in terms of the relevance of the information. And I know that many things before all of us have become questionable in terms of relevance, given what we've all lived through from March to this year and the changing economic and social circumstances. So I want to speak to that, not in a defeatist manner, but in a way that maybe we can do something to bring this back to full relevance, this plan. But the plan you have before you is essentially drafted prior to March. So In terms of the facilities, it is pretty all-encompassing in the sense that it deals with programs to the extent that the community develops and runs its programs in your facilities, on your facilities, both indoor, outdoor, the use of passive recreation, water, trail facilities, and the use by the important local clubs, which are not part of your responsibility, but together you share with them a desire to open up the land and make it as effective as possible for the enjoyment of residents, but also tourists and, of course, businesses, and the park facilities themselves. So all of that was on the slate. In terms of what a master plan is trying to do, we're trying to plan for your capital and operating dollars over the next 10 years. And the plan, just to remind everyone, is not a blueprint. It is not a thou shalt do this on this day, put it into a budget. This is not an end run on anyone's budgetary decisions. What it is a guidance document which says that through the lens of parks and recreation, this is the kind of thing that not only we as a municipal council want to see happen, but we have the backing of a consultation process that has formulated a vision and then a series of principles and goals. So flexibility is important, and particularly given the changing nature of the economies going forward for the next couple of years, I think flexibility is something that I would want to remind everybody at every time. Key objectives, vision, and guiding principles, that really is top of the list, because these principles speak to how you deal with any and every circumstance that comes along, whether it be the opportunity to spend money, for example, the grant money that has been provided from the bilateral agreements, through to dealing with the requests of individual users or residents for meeting their needs. So we've addressed the needs in the report. That you haven't seen the draft report yet, but we've addressed best practice, community needs, priorities, and there will be a rollout of what we think you need to be able to ideally do in years 1, 2, 3, and then on into year 10. I just highlighted at the bottom there is that if we stop and take a moment just to pull back from the mechanics of doing this kind of exercise in a traditional sense, but recognize that what all of us are reading about and experiencing in terms of community wellness and health and how you adjust. So that's, whether the schools are going back today or next week, there are challenges there in terms of getting them to be physically active. And at the other end of the spectrum, seniors that have always represented a target group for ensuring community health and well-being, but now it's particularly important. And whereas you might hear a lot of people talk about designing to accommodate social distancing, I mean, we're way off from reducing the occupancy standards for new buildings that you design to accommodate 2-meter separations. That if that happens, it's because there's no solution to the pandemic problem other than distancing. So I'd like to sort of just put that off to one side, but operationally in the next, currently and in the next 6 months, 12 months, what is the mandate of the municipality through a document like this to be able to help ensure that people get the services and the interaction with others in the form of recreation and gathering that is going to serve everyone in terms of health and wellness. So we're going to, as we finalize this draft, with your permission, we're going to sort of just speak to that question and see if we can elevate it, because I think it's it would be a shame to produce this document and not recognize the circumstances that we're in. Now, I'm speaking from Toronto. You obviously have a different experience in Havelock and you know, along in those other communities, Blairton, etc. So I'm sure there's a discussion that can be had, but that's my lens at this point. So yes, so I don't need to go into this in a lot of detail, but this really speaks to what I've just spoken now. And I just, you know, would share the example of Peterborough's Community Wellbeing Report from 2019. It speaks to a number of different things. We're not going to try and be a solution to all these things, but the recreation plan, in short, has an opportunity to improve its relevance to current operating services that you're looking for, that the county may be providing as well. So I think that's one thing that you would perhaps agree that we play up in the plan. In terms of the work plan, you can see that we started late last year, so there's already been a year, and it wouldn't have been that way. But you know, we were ready with we did our consultation in the fall. It went very well. Survey, a couple of well-attended public meetings. I know members of council were there. We went through our exercise and got to a working draft really by the end of February. And then what I've done there is I've crossed out the period there, February, March. We are at the point where we are just a couple of weeks away from we already have a draft, but we want to redraft that draft a little bit just to take on board some comments that we've received, the reality of the federal funding that's come through, federal and provincial funding for you, and to play up a bit of an implementation framework in a bit more. And then the plan is to come back to council. So that's where we are in terms of process. Consultation, as you know, it involved internal, external stakeholder consultations and the community consultation. So it's been well grounded, but it does date to, you know, March of this year. So we need to bring it up to speed. And that will mean that we need to have another round of consultation with the public. It doesn't have to be heavy-handed. It doesn't have to be difficult. It just needs to be using this kind of forum to be able to give people the opportunity to provide their views in response to a draft plan that's created. In terms of the situational assessment, when you do review the draft that we put through, you'll see that we've attempted very much to recognize that the communities vary in terms of the services that they currently have relative to one another, and we need to make sure that each of the communities has a level of service that they are satisfied with. And we recognize that if you want to skate indoors, you know, you have to travel down to Havelock or go elsewhere. So we make a distinction between very local services that everyone should expect and services that do require, that do serve a broader area. That's going to be important to stress. Again, we'll go through, these are just reference slides, but to speak to the work that we have done in understanding the inventory of facilities and their quality, and you'll see that through the recommendations that we put forward. And as I said, in the consultation, we heard from people, whether it be discussions of an outdoor rink or the improvements to the Matheson Conservation Area. These are all things that will find their way into the plan in terms of recommended action steps. So the outcomes, the draft plan, as I said, is under revision prior to review by council and public, and I'll give you a timeline on that shortly in the presentation. Rather than go into a lot of granular detail about recommendations, I think at this point for today, the benefit is to give you an idea of what do we hear from people, and we've put this into a series of statements here. And as most people recognize that enhancing the existing assets is what is essential here. And with that, the accessibility that's important for seniors and those with special needs, that came out as well. But the first, really using what you have and making it better was a key recognition, which is a very sensible recognition to provide to us. Health and fitness. So, some degree of the improvements for the opportunities for fitness programming facilities, perhaps even more important today with the pandemic situation, the ability to have something local that can be, obviously, I'm sure there are fitness programs that community members are developing in the parks and outside. Maybe that needs to be something that is more than just what you see around the country, in sort of in small measures. The idea of having full outdoor facilities which get used from, let's say, late April to late October is worth the capital investment on the part of the municipalities. So keep that one in mind. But it was also about programming, allowing what facilities does a municipality have to allow you to improve fitness program within your existing facilities. So bringing these themes together. The fourth one is revitalization. Now, the recreation plan can't do a lot by itself to spur the reinvestment along Main Street or elsewhere, except it's our view that investment in recreation and services is the other side of the economic development coin. So you might have downtown renewal, community improvement planning policies on one side, but having access to quality facilities is going to help retain residents and bring others to the community as well. But we did want to put a recognition in place, because that was a key theme of some of the comments that we heard during the consultations. Programming and promotion, that's always an item that's always on most plans, and it's something that I think everywhere can do better with. And so that will find its way in. In terms of the vision, we've put forward a vision. I think it would be an interesting exercise to have the public weigh in on it, to tighten it. We don't want to make a big meal of it, but the idea here really is that it is about quality of life, access to natural environments, and improving the quality of facilities. In terms of goals and objectives, I'm not going to read this. I know there was, hopefully you council members were able to get this in their pre-read package from last Thursday. And so the goals, we have a series of principles and themes, we have goals, and then we have specific actions that you'll see. But accessibility, health and wellness, improving the role as a tourism destination, which is an omnibus type strategy that involves using all of the advantages that you have in terms of non-municipal owned assets, water access, trails, and so on. So it's all about those partnerships. Then beyond partnerships, into the recommendations. I'm not going to go into detail because they're very specific actions, but we address the indoor recreation facilities. Obviously, we have a series of recommendations about the community center, certain of the community halls, libraries, and then the potential for additional indoor facilities. As it relates to outdoor recreation facilities, we recognize the role of the school, but we recognize the importance of ball diamond soccer pitches that are within the municipal portfolio. And so I have a series of recommendations on that. And then beyond assets, looking at service delivery and programming, playgrounds and parks and accessibility in each of the communities, excuse me, and the trail network as a whole. So the process that we want to follow from this point is it's September the 8th today. I think we would like to get a draft submission back around the 18th, which is a Friday. And if that's the case, then the next stage is to obviously either come back to the next regular council meeting so you can see what's in the document. And if council is okay with that information, remember it is draft, we can then go back to the public as we're required to under contract here. Now, how do you do that? So that at that point, I think we're open to any suggestion that you have, but the way we've done it most recently was, well, there are two options. Let's assume that we're not going to have a gathering of people in a live meeting face to face, but we're going to have a virtual meeting. That would be done. You can do it either have exactly like this kind of meeting, and we have the capability, I think, to host up to about 100 people on our Zoom account. But we can trade experiences and tricks of the trade to be able to organize that meeting effectively and have people weigh in. And we can also, give them a comment form that they can offer their comments with. The other way of doing it, we've done, is to do what we're calling an on-demand presentation. So you take the recreation plan and you create a package of explanatory slides. We can then narrate. We can actually do a narration of what that presentation is, explaining what's in each recommendation. That can then be put actually up onto the internet as a YouTube video. And so, you could basically, it's on demand because you can listen to a little bit or a lot of it at any time you want over a period of time, say 2 weeks. And then there can be allied to it can be a comment form, so people can have listened to the whole presentation, then they can scribble comments back in an online forum. So it's not a live online presentation, but it certainly fits with people's schedules. The ability to, listen to me drone on for 10 minutes, put it to one side, and then come back for another 20 minutes later on. That actually, in the one example we had about 100 people respond for a similar kind of plan, which is, that's a lot of people in a room, 100 people. So it was we took that as a helpful sign that this kind of online work can be beneficial. Once we hear from people, so the question would be, how long do we want to take to do that? We would then finalize the plan based on that feedback, and then come back once more to council, and there would be a motion, and hopefully that motion would be that you would adopt the plan based on its the strength of the public consultation that's been undertaken. So that's where we are. So the next operative date, as I said, is September the 18th for you to consider. So that's where we are. I can stop sharing if that's helpful.
Yeah, that'll help with the screen anyways, if you can get it back to the review.
How's that?
There we go. Okay, well, you know what? I always like to take a negative and make a positive, and we're looking for this in March, and with everything that's gone on, a lot of the information could have been dated or maybe not possible. So I think with this coming now, we do have an opportunity to correct some things and make some things work for the future, whatever that's going to look like. So I think this is well done, and this is, we can get this back on track now. And like you say, on the 18th, if we could engage it a little more. I don't know whether Ryan has anything to add, but it's kind of timely because we have our next delegation, actually, they wouldn't have known, but a lot of the things that are in their presentation are things that we're already working on with you, and part of this recreation master plan, along with some other things that we were doing with our council priority list that's coming out today. All goes along with the next delegation, actually, but I don't know whether council has anything to add here, or if Ryan has anything to add or questions, but I think this is good, and this is going to be timely. Go ahead, Councillor Webb.
So saying we accept the draft on the 18th or today, or however we're going to do that, what's the quickest we could get through the next phase of public consultation and get to the final report?
I can answer that, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, go ahead.
You? Yes. So thank you for the question, Councillor Webb. The 18th would be when we deliver it to Ryan. So that would be us providing that document. So assuming that Ryan is able to read it quickly, and he can then provide that up through administration to council, and you can obviously review it. And at that point, a decision would be made. Okay, let's put it out on the web for residents, so it's posted and advertised as such. I think what we would probably do is then take you could do it in a day, but you know, people are busy on many things. Let's say a week it would take for us to draw a presentation together, narrate a video, put it up on YouTube, and send you a package basically of the report, an online presentation, and a comment form that you would then get your IT provider, I'm not sure who that is, whether it's Nexicom or whoever it is, to get them to have it on the system and advertise that it's there for the public. So that, you know, we might be able to do that by the end of September in terms of the totality of what I've spoken about. Then you need to give people a couple of weeks. So let's say until mid-October. If we got the results back the middle of October, and I'm thinking aloud here, but middle of October, we could, if there wasn't any great concern with the recommendations, and typically there isn't. There are specifics that you have to address for user groups, but nothing which would be monumental in terms of our misunderstanding of issues. I think if we can agree that we've got it pretty much right, then we might be able to get something back to you by, say, the third week of October. So, answer to your question, I think by the end of October, you would have a plan in place that's adopted.
Good. Thank you very much for that, John. I was just thinking, because there could be some things and expressed an interest to get going on some of these projects. So if we could have that, yeah, by the end of October, early November, it's something that we could include in the budget process for next year to start planning for this. So the sooner the better. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, certainly for budget process, it'll be complete.
Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, Larry, go ahead.
Well, through you, Mr. Mayor, just a quick comment here. Glad to see this report forward now. We've all been looking forward to it. Unfortunately, we know why we haven't seen it till now. Just one quick comment. I think the online social media coverage, allowing comment, is an important little piece of the puzzle here. As we've seen with our virtual council meetings, the amount of people that watch, I would hope that we would get a great response from your online social media view. And I think that's important to give time to have that part of the presentation covered. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what the numbers we've seen on people viewing these meetings. As much as if it's possible to have an in-person meeting also, that would be great. But I think the social media side of things, people will have an opportunity to watch the thing on their own terms and whenever they can. It might be better received, but we'll work through that. The timing sounds like it could work out perfect for budget timing. I think that's the goal here, is to try, and if there's any budget implications, that we'll know where we're going, hopefully by the end of October, beginning of November. But is there any other questions or comments from council? Seeing none. I do thank you for this, and I don't know whether Ryan has anything to add, or he knows where we're at as far as trying to get things going here. So let's take advantage of the timing, and we'll have more of an up-to-date plan here as we move forward, I think. So thank you for this report, and we look forward to the next stage.
Well, thank you very much, and I'll sign off, and we'll get that report back to you by the 18th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so a motion to receive the delegation moved by Councillor Webb, seconded by Deputy Mayor Giroux. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move into the next delegation. The next delegation is Jerry McGowan and Mick Riel, bringing health, wellness, and tourism to Havelock communities. So I see Mick on there, so I'll welcome Mick if you would like to join in. You're muted right now. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, am I live? Can you hear me, Mayor Martin?
Yep. Yep, go ahead.
Great. Do we see Jerry? Is he in attendance?
I don't see him on my screen. Bianca, is Jerry here?
I just see you, Mick.
Okay, hold on. Please allow me just a minute to check on Jerry.
Okay.
Jerry's in a remote location today, so it's difficult for him to be in attendance with myself to sit side by side. But I certainly like to thank all the councillors and the mayor for granting us the opportunity to speak before you today. And I know it's difficult through COVID-19, all the protocols are in place. But I want to thank you, gentlemen, for allowing us to speak before you today as a delegation.
Okay.
I have a slideshow presentation. Bianca, are you able to share the slideshow presentation to the councillors and mayor?
Yes, I am. Would you like to just tell me when to change the slides, or?
Certainly, I'll give you the cue. Thank you, Bianca. This is a presentation I'd like to share with you gentlemen today. It's a vision from Jerry McGowan. I'm an associate of Jerry McGowan's. We are looking towards building health and wellness and tourism for the community of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen. What we're proposing today, and we'd like some of your input and hopefully your blessing, is for the construction of a new arena, a wellness center with a pool, a therapy pool, a secondary pool, a golf course with country club, a grocery store, a strip plaza with a mini mall that would house such things as a larger doctor's office for a walk-in clinic. We do have a walk-in clinic currently in Havelock, but it's very small. It's in the pharmacy. We could definitely use some larger space for that. As well as in the strip mall, a space for vision care, hearing care, the potential for a dental office, and physiotherapy. Now, as you gentlemen may know, Havelock has an increasingly aging population. Over the past 5 years, the average population has increased in age by 5 years. And also we have the new seniors facility, which is due to be constructed in Havelock, which will also increase the mean age of the population in Havelock, requiring seniors and retirees more access to care of health and wellness, things that they'll need to keep them lively and living longer in our community. We are an aging population, but we don't want to ignore such things as the youth and the age groups between 50 and 49. The wellness center that is potentially being able to be built, thank you, Bianca, is our long-term goal, is to establish the health and the care of this community, to look after its residents, as well as visitors to the community as well. About a year ago, Mayor Martin, I know you were in attendance. There was a social and economic development meeting that took place that had the idea of a new arena and the potential for a wellness center to come forth into Havelock. As you may recall from that meeting, it was a 10-year program or plan in order to be put in place to put these facilities in our township. Now, 10 years is a nice idea, but we can do this in a shorter time frame, as well as bring it now. Now, with budget constraints from the government due to COVID-19, straining budgets through changes in government, provincially as well as federally, cuts could come to this potential plan from the economic development meeting that was in place a year ago. And so what we're planning to do is move forward on this project, make it happen sooner, that will benefit this township and community. If you go to the next slide, please, Bianca. Some of the community needs that I spoke to you gentlemen already about is that the residents is an aging population and they require more care and therapy, which would certainly involve things like vision, eye care, dental, things that we could bring to residents of this community while keeping their commutes short so they don't have to travel to Campbellford, Peterborough, or Belleville in order to get the care they need, especially with more retirees coming to the community, purchasing homes, as well as a greater need for affordable housing for those residents who do live here, which will open up more facilities to those residents. Mr. McGowan is looking to purchase the Jamboree grounds, which I don't know if you gentlemen know, I'm sure you're aware is up for sale. He wants to utilize that land for a golf course, for the country club. He wants to put affordable housing on the land, and he wants to use that for the wellness center. With the wellness center, this could really bring about a healthy lifestyle to this community and needs to sustain the population for years to come. As well as purchasing the Jamboree ground, he has no plans to make changes to the Jamboree and continue that legacy that has been going on for the past 31 years that has been in existence. And he wants to move forward and have the potential to put other events there to draw crowds and bring tourism to that community of Havelock and Belmont-Methuen. Now, what Mr. McGowan is also proposing is a new arena, which, as you gentlemen may know, we are in dire need of a new arena, a new facility. Apsley has a nice new arena. I don't know if you've had a chance to visit or been there. It's a lovely facility. What we'd like to do, what Jerry is proposing, is to construct a 20-year plan of leasing the land off you gentlemen from the township in order to put some profit into the community of Havelock, as well as build the facility. With the facility, he's hoping to put in a larger ice rink area, as well as being able to host community events. Bianca, if I could see the next slide, please. Now, along with that, with a larger arena that may be built, it would push out the ball diamond, which he is very familiar with. What he's hoping to do is find some land that the township owns and lease that as well on a 20-year term in order to build a new soccer field, a field house, and a baseball diamond with lights for the soccer pitch so there can be evening games and lights for the ball diamond. Greater need for parking would be in order due to the fact that the arena would be larger, a better surface. There's very limited parking whenever we have tournaments or special events at the hockey arena. I also sit on the board for the Havelock Hawks Minor Hockey Association, so I'm well aware of the parking constraints that are involved. We're not looking to dismantle the diamond, but we'd like to build a new one for the children and the adults that play baseball in this area. If I may see the next slide, please, Bianca. So what we're planning to fulfill the needs of Havelock is to bring health care of all types to Havelock, as well as the golf course and country club, which I believe would bring tourism to the area because we could draw people from Peterborough, Norwood, Quinte West, and Belleville that would come and stay, as well as the summer residents. And as you gentlemen know, there is a large influx of summer residents during these months that this could bring tourism and enjoyment to their lifestyle and give them something to talk about and a place to gather. Next slide, please, Bianca. Now, of course, we don't want to forget the groups that are very much involved in this community that are strong partners, such as the Lions Club. The Havelock Figure Skating Club uses the arena, as well as the Havelock Hawks. And that is why we're proposing to build something for the Lions Club as well, to give them a Lions Den and give them the same benefits that they enjoy now in the center, except it would be a new facility, so they would have new space, and of course we would use their input. And as well as the sporting teams such as the Hawks and the Havelock Figure Skating Club to design a project around their needs to suit them in order to fulfill their needs for years to come with a new arena. If I may see the next slide, please, Bianca. Now, I've got some statistics that I pulled from StatsCan. This is from 2016. This is the best records I could come up with. As I mentioned, there's a large increase in the population, especially in Havelock, of 4 years over the past 3. There's a greater number of residents between the ages of 50 to 75 that are definitely in need of care. We need youth development for recreation of the young families looking to move from outside the area, because we are getting more and more people moving from Peterborough into new homes with young families, because the accommodations in Peterborough are expensive, as well as Belleville, moving this way so that their commute is not too far, yet it's reasonable to live. The ages of the population of the greatest density in Havelock are between 15 and 64, being the median age of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen of 54 years of age. Now, 43% of this population has no employment income, which means there's a special need for affordable housing as well as job creation. Majority of households of 2 or more working people is 55,000 per year in Havelock, meaning that there is a greater need for affordable housing for those young families and seniors who are struggling to make ends meet and live in this community. Next slide, please, Bianca. Now, some steps of action that we're planning is, as I mentioned, Mr. McGowan is looking to purchase the Havelock Jamboree grounds in order to build a golf course. He'd like to use that land to build a wellness center, which this community direly needs. Use of a grocery store or a mini strip plaza to host all of the health benefits that I had mentioned before, such as vision, dental, physiotherapy, and leasing the land for a 20-year term in order to build the new arena in the Lion's Den, which is required for this facility to maintain itself. He's also looking to put a field house in, but he's looking for some land that the township owns in order to create a partnership with Havelock-Belmont-Methuen. And as I mentioned, it may even be in the budget to build a splash pad for the community, as we are one of the last communities in this area that does not have access to a splash pad for our children and those people who enjoy the summer weather. Next slide, please, Bianca. Some of the economic benefits of what's being proposed by Mr. McGowan is job creation through the construction of the new facilities, which would ensure some jobs over the next 2 to 3 years for the residents, as well as long-term lasting employment through the need for advisors and activity projections from the wellness center. And of course, we would keep the employment of the gentlemen and women who work for the township right now to maintain the arena. The time frame for this is 2.5 to 3 years from date of breaking ground. That's how long it would take to build what we have mentioned before, which is better than the 10-year plan to begin construction that was proposed a year ago at the Economic Development Plan. And that's even if it's still considered in the future due to the fact of government constraints through funding, loss, and change of government, which could happen twice over the period of the next 10 years. May I see the next slide, please, Bianca? We're seeking a long-term relationship with the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen, and with your cooperation, we can make the vision that Jerry McGowan has for the future of Havelock and make this a reality. In front of you, gentlemen, if you look at the proposed site, this is a Google map of the area of the, thank you very much for zooming that in, of the Jamboree grounds. The golf course would follow along 48 along the limits of the Jamboree grounds. Near the Jamboree entrance, where camping is low and attendance gets filled up through other parts of the area, I've labeled in black the Wellness Center, which Jerry proposes to put there. Wellness Center, grocery store, and strip mall, which would house the doctor's offices and vision eye care that is required, as well as the spot with highway access to affordable housing, which could put more residents here and help the senior population who require that sort of affordable housing in order to maintain themselves and live a lifestyle that doesn't put them in dire need of money or living check to check, which is a lot of times what happens with older population who are on pensions. If I could see the next slide, please, Bianca. So what we are asking for today, what we are coming for, is we're seeking approval to move forward into planning and development of the facilities that I've mentioned before. We would, the Township of Havelock and Belmont would definitely benefit and help the community in anticipating the needs of the aging population to come, as it is becoming a retirement community, and it would still promote continued tourism and spaces for youth and volunteers to enjoy themselves and to give the youth of the community, as well as every resident in Havelock-Belmont-Methuen, spaces for recreation. If I may see the next slide. At this time, gentlemen, I'd like to thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope it wasn't too wordy. I appreciate you taking your time out of this tough time with COVID-19. We're looking for feedback as well as any sort of deliberation you may have. We're really hoping to have an in-person meeting, but due to these times, it's not feasible right now. But Jerry and I would most likely love to sit down and present to you some plans and diagrams and some architectural, structural blueprints. We don't want to go through with that until we have some sort of feedback from council to decide whether they think this is feasible or whether this is something the community needs, which is something that Jerry and I both feel the community needs and would most definitely benefit from. Now, I don't know if you gentlemen deliberate or if you'd like to pose me some questions, but I'd certainly be more than happy to answer anything you have on your mind.
Okay, thank you, Mick. Yeah, I'm going to open it up to council here. I appreciate, your enthusiasm here and everything that you have brought forward here today. A lot of the things, I don't know whether you heard the delegation before you, and that might be the meeting that you're referring to that I was with you when we talked about recreation at the Lions Hall. That was the delegation before you with regards to our recreation master.
Oh, I didn't get a chance to see them.
Okay, so he talked about he led us into where we're going to go with the next steps, and a lot of these things would probably be a part of that recreation master plan, and they might even be in it already. We're going to be getting an update September 18th, and then actually our priority list that's coming to council to receive today for a reminder of where we're at. Some of these things were on our priority list already, so it's probably timely that that you're bringing this in, and I appreciate everything that you're trying to do. And I would really suggest, and I don't know, it's up to council, but a lot of this stuff probably could have came to the Economic Development Committee and started it off there. As far as getting a blessing today, there's a lot in here, and there's a lot of private property things there too that would have to come into it. I know a lot of those things you're saying that you can make it happen, and that would all hinge on a lot of decisions. A lot of the decisions would be hinged on who owns the property that you're suggesting to use. So I think it would be good discussion for the Economic Development Committee, but that's up to council here. I'll open it up to see where you would like to go with this. Has anybody got any questions? Barry, go ahead.
Yeah, Mick, there's a lot of merit to your presentation. I really appreciate it. Especially the timelines and everything, if it could be done in that short a time. But there's some duplications in our 10-year plan too. But everything you say in there, we could use, but it seems like an enormous project. And I think council should sit down and look at your plans, your drawings in person, not on these Zoom meetings. We could get the parties together.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping for as well.
Yes, and then it brings it more into reality too. I know there's some time constraints here too, but we could meet. Like I keep saying, we can meet at the arena and we can practice the social distancing and wear masks. But I like to see the real drawings and get to ask questions, from you and Jerry about, where are we going? How can we help? Maybe we can combine the two programs together. It's it's just one of those things. I would like to set up a meeting where we could all get together and pursue this further.
Okay.
Certainly, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. We'd be more than happy to have an in-person meeting. Before we had diagrams and plannings, we were hoping for the councillors and the mayor's permission to go forward to show you those diagrams and architectural blueprints. Of course, we'd have to work out a lot of details. It is a massive undertaking. It has many different facets to it. It's not just building an arena or just building a wellness center. But I know you gentlemen see the need in the community for such a project. And if it's something we do need to coordinate with the economic development plan, it's something we'd be more than happy to sit down and talk with them, and perhaps we could collectively come together and get a plan in motion. But this is Jerry's idea for the future for Havelock, and he's got a smaller time frame than the 10-year plan that was proposed a year ago when I was in attendance at that meeting.
Okay, well, that's yeah, it all sounds good, and I think Barry's right. We need to try and schedule a meeting to get together, and I think they will probably run simultaneously along beside the recreation master plan. Like I say, I think there's some of these things that are probably in that also, and a lot of that stuff was, you know, even though it said over the next 10 years, there's a few things in there that we're probably looking at hopefully over the next couple of years. So they all might run together here, and that's why we need to get together and you know, hear and see the drawings on, you know, what you're planning here and where you're going, I think. So is there any other questions from council? Larry, go ahead.
Just a quick comment through you, Mr. Mayor. Surely is exciting, your presentation. Thank you for it. It sure got the attention of residents who are following our agendas and viewing our online virtual meetings, but because over the weekend people were again looking at our agendas and were pretty excited about what they were reading in your presentation. There is some overlap, as you spoke to Mr. Mayor, through our master plan that Brian has brought forward in the previous presentation. But I think between the master plan and getting economic development, our economic development committee involved with this, as well as a much needed meeting, as Councillor Pomeroy has indicated, but very, very exciting. As you say in the presentation, it's everything that this municipality needs, right down to the, you know, the facilities to look after our aged population. Our long-term care facility that's coming on stream. We had a plan there at one point to have a medical center in there, so that's another thing that's kind of an overlap with what you're presenting, but all good stuff, all needed. And again, I think we need to have that meeting and include, like I say, the economic development people, the master plan that we just listened to, part of it, because there are overlaps. But great presentation, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ellis.
Okay, is there anything else? Seeing none, I think we need a motion to receive this delegation and set up a future meeting to discuss it further. Moved by Councillor Pomeroy, seconded by Deputy Mayor Giroux. All in favor? And that's unanimous. So thank you, Mick, and Jerry for the presentation today. It is exciting, and it's something that I look forward to some more discussion in the future here, and as soon as possible, we'll make this happen. Larry, you had
absolutely.
And just want to
thank you so much again, gentlemen.
Okay, one other question here from Larry.
Just a comment.
Yes.
In the next meeting or presentation, there's obviously some dollars involved here for our municipality. That would be a request to have those kind of answers at the next meeting.
I understand. Thank you.
Okay. All right, then we can set that up and look forward to it. Some exciting ideas here to work on, and we'll see where it heads. So
great.
So thank you, and we've received that delegation. Did you have something, Barry?
Thank you, gentlemen, for the time.
No, I was just going to thank Mick and Jerry for their time spent on this program so far, and we look forward to going forward.
Thank you.
That's excellent. I appreciate the time to be able to speak in front of you gentlemen today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You might want to check out when this thing is aired later. You might want to look at the delegation before you and see what you missed. Okay, thank you.
Yes, I was in the waiting room. I didn't get an opportunity to see what was going on before me, but
okay,
I'm glad. We look forward to a partnership.
All right, thank you. So,
thank you, gentlemen. Have a nice day.
You too. And
all right, bye-bye.
Thank you. Bianca, is there any more delegations unlisted?
No, that is the last one.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we're going to move into staff reports for information. We have a report here from the treasurer, Wendelin, and a report from Bob, priorities of council list. So is there any questions for Wendelin? Go ahead, Barry. You're muted.
I'm back. The benefit renewal costs for 2020 and what's been going on with
I think is that enclosed or is that in open?
Yeah, we're dealing with that enclosed today.
Okay.
Yeah, it's closed.
The other one here then. No, I guess nothing on that one, Wendland.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we have those two reports for information, and the council project priority listing or from our strategic plan. It's something for us to review over the next week or so. A lot of the things that I read in there are things that we're already dealing with or have dealt with. So that's good to see. And it's just something that should come back in the middle of the term here to remind us of what we had planned in the beginning and where we're at with them. And with all the discussion that we've had today, it's really encouraging to see that we're kind of going down the right track anyways. Bob, do you have anything to add?
Well, just through you, Mayor Martin. So back in April of 2019, Council did pass a resolution that identified 9 priorities, in 5 in 2019 and 4 more in 2020. So this report just indicates the activity level, and there has been activity on all those priority items, and activity does continue.
So if council reviews all this over the next, before the next meeting, there is a possibility we could bring it back and update it as far as, have some discussion, and a lot of our priorities on there, they might be juggled around by then, hopefully. And the long-term care still continues to be our #1 priority. And hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have something new there. And the housing subdivision, everything that's on here, we are working on or it's in progress. So for our next meeting, maybe we can reprioritize or make sure that we're going the right direction. That's all that I asked for this to be on here. So with that, we can receive these reports unless there's any questions.
Are we bringing that back to the next meeting then?
Yeah, we'll bring that back. This is just for receiving so you can review it and see if there's any suggestions or anything that you would like changed on there.
We'll discuss it at the next meeting.
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so a motion to receive these reports for information. Moved by Councillor Webb, seconded by Councillor Ellis. Any questions? All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, thank you. So next, we'll move into staff reports for follow-up action. And we have one here from Peter Lawson. Welcome, Peter.
Yes, good morning, Mayor Martin and Council. Yes, I'd like to bring this report to Council for some follow-up action that it would fit in great timing to with our other surface treatment projects on the go. If Council approves, we could fit it in the next week coming to get this Pomeroy Drive cul-de-sac surface treated. Yes.
Okay, Barry, go ahead.
I don't know whether I should declare a conflict in this or not, but I'm going to.
Yeah. So can you do that, Bianca? Can you take Barry out of this?
I can put him in the waiting room for now.
Yeah.
Is there coffee there?
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, so what's council's thoughts here? Peter, I appreciate the report. Has council got any suggestions here? Go ahead, Dave.
Hi, good morning, Peter. Thank you, Mr. Mayor Martin. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you for your report on to you and through you to the Works Department. You did a great job at Pomeroy Drive. As far as I'm concerned, it turned out great. And I certainly understand your eagerness to continue that. It might make it easier for snow plowing to get your surface treatment on it. The only question I have, Peter, is, and I know you're well under budget. That's because the work crew did it themselves, and they did, as I said, great job. The question I have is, we do have on the 6th line a water issue, and we have never budgeted for it. And I'm wondering if we go ahead and spend the money that on Pomeroy Drive, I just wonder where we're going to get the money for that 6th line issue. It's been on the plate for quite a while now. We've never budgeted for it. We've talked about it. So a great job, and you saved us some money, but I want council's input on this. We need to come up with that money for that ditching problem. And I know you've been working on that, but I didn't know, Peter, have you had any idea of the costing on that? That's all.
Yes, through you, Mary Martin, to Councillor Giroux. On our 3rd line project as well with the culverts, we are well under budget on that as well. The budget come in there at 90,000. Drains, the tender I know they put in was at 87,000. I haven't got all the final numbers in on that yet, but we would be less than half on that project as well. So there's a substantial savings on the 3rd line as well as Pomeroy Drive. I feel quite confident that our other 2 projects are going to be the 8th line and the Burnt Dam are going to be right near budget or just a little under, but there's a substantial amount of money left on the 3rd line project as well that we could transfer and rearrange to the 6th line. I'm actually meeting with John Sales and Engage again this afternoon at 4 p.m. out there at the 6th line to reevaluate that with Paul Hurley from Engage.
Okay, thank you, Peter. I appreciate that. It was just a valid question. It's about 9.5 to complete Pomeroy Drive then, and that'll still leave us a surplus from that job. So that's where I was going.
Yes, that's right, Councillor Giroux. Yes, we have, it'll be, a substantial surplus as of yet, even with the surface treatment. Yes, and I've calculated in a few extra loads of gravel and some grading with that as well to surface treat the cul-de-sac at Pomeroy Drive. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So Wendelin had something to add, and then Councillor Ellis.
Yeah, just to reiterate what Peter said, there will be a surplus in that project to date, even if you go ahead with the surface treatment. So also, I was going to just add that probably with asset management and with getting the roads needs study done this year, that can be added into the roads needs study that's being performed right now. So that will bring everything up to speed, and then you're not going to be paying out the maintenance costs year after year on that turnaround. But we also have the federal gas tax money in reserve as well. So once a report comes back on 6th line, that potentially could go into the federal gas tax as well.
Okay, Councillor Ellis.
Yeah, just I'm going to make a motion that we approve the recommendation from Peter Lawson regarding Pomeroy Drive. Makes sense. Good planning. So I'll make a motion we approve your recommendation.
Okay, and I'll get a seconder there before I ask for any questions or comments. Seconded by Councillor Webb with the comment.
Question.
You're freezing up.
We originally did the trucks backing out onto the highway so they could turn around, right? Wasn't that?
Yeah.
It was brought up to me, we might have a similar issue along Highway 7 out near Blairton. Do the trucks back out on the highway when they turn around?
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin, to Councillor Webb. Yes, all the roads coming in and off of Highway 7, they all back out onto Highway 7. They just need to make the 2 swipes, especially with their turning lanes.
If we're addressing this as a safety, if we're addressing this as a safety issue, shouldn't we be doing the same for those roads as well, or?
Well, the maintenance more of it is what I was looking at on this particular situation for grading and for winter maintenance. As an example, if we go down, normally we just put salt in the village as a winter maintenance. But in that case, where it turns to gravel, we have to come back and with another vehicle to go with sand and salt, as an example. So it would save us quite a bit of time in switching vehicles or switching material in the vehicle, and we'd be able to do it with the single axle with the straight salt instead of having to send other vehicles and trucks.
No, I understand that, but what I thought that the reason we put the turnaround there was so that the trucks didn't have to back out onto the highway, or 30, which isn't even the highway.
Yes, with
so
the snow bank.
All I'm saying, wouldn't it be just as dangerous for our trucks to be backing out onto a major highway?
Yes, I'm not disagreeing with you at all. It's the snowbanks that we can't get cleared up there on Concession Street too. That's in time they get built up on us, and then our sight lines are definitely hazards up on the Concession Street. But yes, we do back out on the 7 as well, as limited as we possibly can. But we do have to back out on Highway 7, and we also like to get out early. That's another reason we like to go less traffic. If we can get an earlier start with the snow event, it's nice to get out there.
Yeah, I resident pointed out, wasn't to me, and I was unfamiliar, and that's all I was kind of saying to you was that, if it's dangerous for you guys to back out onto 30, I can't see how it's any less dangerous for you to back out onto Highway 7. So maybe some of those issues could be addressed as well.
Yes, I'm not quite up to speed, but I do believe the MTO are looking at doing some turning lanes off of 7 at a few of our intersections, which is very nice because that gives us that right-hand turning lane that the truck can get out on and stay out of the actual main traffic lane. If that, yeah. So that's a key for us too for safety is the right-hand turning lanes, not for the traffic, but for us to maintain and.
Well, this resident was concerned for, the road's crew safety in terms of backing out, blind kind of onto the highway maybe in the middle of a snowstorm or something like that. So,
yep.
I just thought I'd bring that up. Thanks, Pete.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a mover and a seconder, and the only comment I've got is I do worry about going off of our plan, and just because we had money left over, we knew that going into this, that even Barry said this is way too much money. It's not going to cost that much money, but we still put that into there. And we do have other projects, and I know others are watching it. It's we have some discussion to come forward here in the next couple of weeks with regards to Fire Road 18. which is going to be some budget implications too, or could be. So I just worry that wandering off the plan, it would have been nice to have let that road sit for a year to make sure it's packed and everything's good, especially on the cul-de-sac. We do have other cul-de-sacs that are dirt, and that's the one on William Street. It's dirt at the end of it. I don't even think we have one at the end of Mary Street. There's a few little areas around that all need work, and just because we have money left over in a budget and reacting to it sometimes can be a mistake. But that being said, you know, it is good. I totally understand with your salt mix, you know, to help you maintain it. But moving forward, we got to watch reacting to things like this when we are supposed to be working to a road needs study, and but it will finish the project. Larry, you had something?
I could, through you, Mr. Mayor, getting back to Councillor Webb's comments and concerns on number 7 highway. The comment about the turning lanes, I was going to ask CAO Bob if he would comment. He's had some communication with the people regarding the turning lanes on number 7, especially in the second line area. I was wondering if you would mind commenting to bring council up to speed.
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin. A few weeks ago, approximately a month ago, there was a video conference with MTO in which they indicated that some work may proceed in those areas as identified by Councillor Ellis. We also discussed possible work at the Mary Street intersection, further to the delegation that occurred roughly a year ago at the council meeting. MTO did indicate that with respect to that particular project, it has not been budgeted for, and it is not in their 5-year plan. So it's possible we will see some work done in the Sama Park area, but beyond that, nothing at the Mary Street intersection.
Yeah, thank you for raising that, Councillor Ellis, because that is something we did hear about, and I thought it was happening this summer as far as out towards Sama Park and some of them entrances on Highway 7. I thought it was happening this year, but obviously with the timing we're at right now, it's not going to happen, and I haven't heard of any public meetings with regards to that. So it's unfortunate that it didn't happen, but maybe with the times and the way things are right now, it was hard to schedule everything. So hopefully it's not off the table and things are going to happen there, because it's needed big time, especially some left turning lanes out there. So anyways, is there any more with regards to this delegation? We do have a mover and a seconder to go ahead and do it. I just wondered, one question I had with it there, Peter, is the cul-de-sac part of it. Is it possible to hard top down to the cul-de-sac, or would it make no sense at all? Because all I'm worried about is how wet it is down there. Is it going to break up the first year we do it? So are you have any concerns about that?
I don't have any concerns. We actually put the cloth down, and yeah, we have a good layer of material on that, probably close to 2 feet, with pit run and the roller, the packer. Yeah, I think it would be fine. I'd just like to see it shaped up a little bit better before we actually grade it, just to make sure we have proper slope and drainage there. But
okay. All right, thank you. So all in favor of the motion that was put forward? If you can still remember what it was after. Okay, carry. So go ahead, Peter, and put that in the schedule, I guess.
Very good, thank you.
So moving forward, that's it for our staff reports with follow-up action. Welcome back, Barry. Go ahead, Hart.
I was going to say, motion to take a 5-minute break, bathroom break.
Okay.
Or I can go over
5-minute break, moved by Councillor Webb. You have a seconder there. Seconded by Deputy Mayor Giroux, that we take a 5-minute recess and return at 13 minutes after 11. And we will be stopping at noon for lunch if we're not finished then. We're not going to go like we did last time. If we can't finish within our time zone, we'll have to take a lunch. So, okay, 5-minute recess. Who was the seconder there, Bob? I missed it.
Dave.
Okay. And all in
I
favor?
had Deputy Mayor Giroux, Mayor Martin.
Okay. Thank you. 5 minutes. Yeah, okay. All right, so now we have a clerk present, so we can carry on with the meeting at 11:18. So we'll move into correspondence. We have two action correspondence here, piece of correspondence. The first
Sorry,
is,
Mayor Martin, if we could get a motion to resume the meeting.
okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Giroux and seconded by Councillor Pomeroy. All in favor? Carried. So, okay, so with the correspondence, the action items that we have, the first one, we had a letter from Matthew Smith regarding docks and boat launches. So it's probably something that should be referred to budget or for further discussion anyways. We have been talking about this and we did have a delegation, I think it was our last meeting. So Dave, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we write or email, whatever, back to the Smiths and say that we did discuss it and we'll put it on as a budgetary item. I mean, eventually it's all about accessibility anyway, so whether we like it or not someday.
Yep. Okay. Moved by Deputy Mayor Giroux that we write the Smiths and tell them that it's being put forward for budget discussions. Is there a seconder? Councillor Pomeroy? You're muted there, Barry.
No, I have a question.
Okay.
We haven't really okayed these docks, so how can we put it down as a budgetary item?
It's something for discussion, I guess, along with the other requests that we had. So is there a seconder then for this? Moved by seconded by Councillor Webb. And all in favor to forward this? Carried. And the next one was from Phil Hill, and it's issues around, he calls it the old Collins pit on Baker Road. I'm not sure whose it is, his or Lafarge, but we did deal with that at the last meeting as far as sending a letter to ask about some better barriers put up there and or at least get some discussion going with them to try and eliminate the problem that we have there with regards to parking and access to their property. So the access part isn't our concern, but the parking is an issue and we need to deal with it. So we are dealing with that, Bob.
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin, that letter has been sent. We are awaiting a response.
Okay. All right, Dave, go ahead. You're muted.
Also, I see on the bottom of that letter through you, Mr. Mayor, that he is expecting some kind of a response. So I guess that would be our response, but we think I have to get back to him and tell him that we're doing something.
Yeah, can you do that, Bob? You can reply to Mr. Hill that we are dealing with it and hopefully have a response here in the near future.
Yes, we certainly will do that.
Thank you.
Okay, so a motion to respond to Phil Hill, moved by Deputy Mayor Giroux and seconded by Councillor Webb. All in favor? And that's, I didn't see any hands there, but I think it was carried. There we go. So, all right, carried. So that's it for correspondence. We'll move into, where am I here? Committee liaison reports. So let me catch up here for activity reports. Councillor Ellis, you had chamber meeting, commerce meeting. Do you have anything to add or any comments with regards to that?
Just give me a minute, Mr. Mayor. I've lost, although I can hear you, I can't see you. So I'm trying to get re-established there. So can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to get reconnected, but Yeah, so for our Chamber of Commerce, just a quick update. We had a virtual meeting to discuss a number of different things that they're putting in place that needed, needed the Chamber Board to be part of, to make the decisions. So we had the virtual meeting. So there's a number of things that are coming forward. There was a great write-up in the Havelock Rail. I'm not sure if council's seen it or not, but it indicated some of the good things that the Havelock Chamber are putting in place now. One of the decisions also was a discussion around the new logo for Havelock Chamber of Commerce that will be coming forward. They're still looking to have a good meeting with HBM. They had talked about coming last meeting in September, but they want to make sure that they have all their data that's been collected and all the information that they need to bring forward to advise council and the municipality. So they're hoping that maybe if our meeting was at the last of September or even into October, that we would be meeting possibly at a larger venue where we can do a one-on-one with the board and council. So lots of good things coming forward. I'm not going to steal their thunder because they want to have the presentation with council. So that's my report from the chamber. Thank you.
Okay. All right. And Dave, the county council meeting, and myself on the August 26th. I don't know whether you had anything from there. Myself, we've had the conference calls still going. They're every other week now, but at county council, the communication plan is a big thing. They're trying to get better communication. So they're actually setting up something as we speak to do a better job with that. As far as in-person meetings, we're not there yet. Still some things to work out as far as logistics and how it can happen, but they are working on that for the future. There was different suggestions of different venues, and it's a lot bigger council than ours, so there's a lot more to deal with, plus to try and get the public in. So we'll see where that ends up. The sign bylaw for bush country signs was passed at the last meeting. A lot of it will be put back onto us, as far as, which isn't a bad thing. At least we might have some say on where they went and how they're placed. So it turned into quite a project to try and sort those things out. But and waste management, as far as the clear bag thing was another big topic, and the numbers are showing that the waste is down and recycle is up. So what they're trying to push here is the city get involved in this also, and we're going to have to get on with our part of it too. But the numbers are showing that when you go to clear bags, it helps a lot towards the waste, and it's even went as far as Zero Dumber said that with the 40% they're down, maybe we need to renegotiate some of the tipping fees at Bensford. So we'll see where that ends up, but lots going on at the county. And as far as the in-person meetings, they're not there yet, but that's something they're working on the same as we are. So I don't have anything else to add for the public liaison. Go ahead, Dave. You're muted.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In regards to the county, in conversation with Peter Nielsen and others, the bridge on County Road 46 is progressing, a little bit behind, but everything seems to be going the way it's supposed to. So just wanted to give a little update on that. Thanks.
Okay. All right, so a motion to receive the activity reports, moved by Councillor Webb and seconded by Deputy Mayor Giroux. All in favor? And that's carried. So next, I don't have any written notice of motion. Is there any oral notice of motions to be brought forward at this meeting? Seeing none, we'll move into new business. And there's some things listed on here for new business, and that's the best way to do it, because anything that's not listed on new business will just be received for the next meeting, because it's kind of putting staff on the spot as far as to try and answer things that they're not prepared for. So that's the way it was laid out in the beginning, and that's where we'll go today. The first is Councillor Ellis has Matheson property on there.
Again, through you, Mr. Mayor. I'm using my cell phone presently because I don't seem to be able to get reconnected through my laptop. So I just wanted the Matheson property be a discussion for council. I'm going to a few years, the Matheson property was handed over as a gift to the municipality. And then I would like to go from that point where we are now, where if you look at some of the social media stuff that's been on lately, or if you take a drive back in there or a walk back in there, you do see the items that were brought forward.
You're really breaking up, Larry. Can you shut your video off and just do the audio? Uh-oh, we lost him. So we'll have to come back to Larry as soon as he comes back on. Technology is great when it works. So Barry, we'll move on to you, and then when Larry comes back on, we'll let him finish.
Okay, Matheson or McLean Avenue. This is an old topic. It's been a couple years or so. I just wondered if maybe we could progress with that. I think we had the engineers look at it and so on and so forth, but we haven't done anything. I don't know whether Peter has an update on that one for me or not. Have you got anything, Peter?
Through you, Mayor Martin, to Councillor Pomeroy. Yes, I actually met with John Sales again just at the beginning of last week. He was planning on having something to me on Friday. I understand here this morning it's going to come this afternoon when I meet him on the 6th line. There's two different options there is what we discussed, and I really like the one myself personally, but we'll see where he comes, and he was going to get some numbers together for us as well. But the one I really took a liking to was not having to cut any asphalt on the new streets. So hopefully he'll have those for us today, and I can see where the price is at budget wise, and we can go from there.
Okay, thanks, Peter.
Okay.
And the other thing I have here is agreement with the Lions Club. I would like to see a copy of that. I don't know whether Bob has found one yet or not, but
yeah, so it's kind of timely. From what Bob said, it's the agreement, it runs till next year, till year September. So it'll be good to review it and see where we're at. It was a 25-year agreement, so I'm sure there's some adjustments to be done there, and we'll have some discussion with in the near future, I guess, going into. By the sounds of the delegation we had today, maybe they'll have a new hall anyways. But Bob, go ahead.
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin. Just to reiterate, there is an agreement with the Lions Club. It is a 25-year agreement that expires in September of 2021. So if council wishes to review that agreement, we can certainly bring that forward and have a look at it.
Okay. Barry, go ahead.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, I think it would only be appropriate that council got a copy of that and go over it so that you can review it and maybe have some changes, in mind for a renewal.
Yeah, that'll be a part of the process. Bob, do you need a motion to direct you to issue that to staff, or can you just get us a copy of it?
Oh, we'll take the motion through you, Mayor Martin, and then we will bring it forward to council meeting.
Okay, moved by Councillor Pomeroy that you issue a copy of the agreement with the Lions Club for review. Is there a seconder? Councillor Ellis. All in favor of the motion? And that's carried. So, Larry, did you want to finish what you started?
I don't know whether you ever heard or seen anything. I was trying to operate from my cell phone. I thought I was, but obviously I wasn't. And I'm back on my laptop now. Oh, the Madison property, yeah, I put it on as an item for council's discussion or to bring attention to. I can go back to the point where the Madison property was handed off to the municipality as a gift. It's a great piece of property. And we go from that point to where we are now. I think there are a few things that have kind of gone awry. If you take a walk back in there, or if you follow any kind of social media over the last week, you would have seen and listened to some of the comments, some of the pictures of what's happened back in there. Some damage, the fact that we lost our sign that's not been replaced. And the feel, not only from social media, I talked to several people that walk back in there, and everybody kind of agrees that it appears that it's just been left, and council are not involved as much as we could be. So it was encouraging from our master plan that we listened to this morning that it's indicated that there's plans to utilize the property, but I just think that, you know, it was a great piece of property handed off to us, and I can't help but feel the same as some of the residents that, you know, we've kind of not done anything.
I don't know. Are you there? You still there, Larry? I totally understand what you're saying, Larry. I don't know whether you can hear me, but there has been a lot of things around the Matheson property, and it's probably time to get into another meeting. I know there was some comments that we haven't had a meeting in a couple of years, and the last 6 months didn't help any. So I think moving forward, we will get into a Matheson meeting, and we will start addressing some of the concerns that are in there. And I think some of the things will go along with Deputy Mayor Giroux's concerns about the bylaw or the regulation for ATVs, and reviewing that and what it means. It's long overdue for that too. So I think some of the destruction up there is from dirt bikes and ATVs. So I think I see you're back there, Larry, but I do agree we need to have a Matheson meeting and tear this stuff out, because it is unfortunate that it's getting, it's not being looked after like the way we thought. And I was working to try and find somebody. The sign that went missing, I'm thinking that we should maybe have it engraved in the rock instead of a plaque, because now there's no sense putting more plaques there, because these people, I better not use that term, these people. People aren't appreciating what's back there, and we had some nice things happening. The school did some nice signs, and even they were removed. So unfortunately, it's kind of out of the way, but that's the whole uniqueness of the Matheson property, and there's so much opportunity there. Go ahead, Larry, if you want to.
Yeah, just one last comment. I don't know what you've heard from before, like I'm in and out here. So regarding the plaque, I think part of the issue was where the plaque was installed and the location of it, because it's back there out of the way where if somebody wants to be an idiot, well, they'll be the idiot. So I don't know. I know Ryan had some thoughts and, you know, a plan to deal with the sign itself, but I think part of the problem is the location of it. It's unique where it is, but it's also in an area where, you know, we see what happens. So anyway, just wanted that comment.
So as things ease up here, it'll be easier to have a meeting, and because I think some of the people on the committee, I don't know if they would do the Zoom thing or not. So some of them might have to have a in-person meeting, but we can see where it goes here in the near future. I've seen Deputy Mayor Giroux and I've seen Councillor Webb. Go ahead, Dave.
Thank you, Mayor Martin. In regards to the Matheson property, I spoke to our CEO this week, actually last week now, and I didn't get it on the agenda, so therefore I'll have to abide by the new rules. But we have a problem not only in the Matheson property, but over across the line fence and some of the neighbors with the emerald ash borer. And as I said, I didn't get it on the agenda, so I would ask Bob to speak of this if he would, and get it on the next agenda, because it's important. We're going to have to take those trees out of there. And because as of right now, from what I understand, there's not that many, but we know what's going to happen if we don't get rid of them. So we have one ratepayer by the name of Larry Hubble who kind of watches that. He's a woodworker, and he kind of takes that section on of his own to be a good steward of that piece of the property. So he watches the trees pretty carefully. So that's where I got my information, and we're going to have to move on this. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. All right, Art, go ahead.
Yeah, just getting back to the Matheson property, I think if we're going to address the issues there, especially some of the ones that have been taken, we got to address the bigger issue in terms of how these things are created, and specifically probably getting into four-wheelers and dirt bikes and whatnot that are using the trails back there. I think 5 or 6 years ago, we put the new signs up in there. There was work done. There was tree trimming. It was cleaned up. The school was involved with the signs. Within 2 or 3 years, all the signs were stolen. Things were vandalized. Or like, I just don't want to go put new signage up and all these other things and have the same thing happen. And that's all I see is what's going to happen. Until you limit, whether it's the bike traffic or you have some kind of, law enforcement patrolling it at least some of the time, this stuff will continue to happen. So if you want to go and buy signs every 4 or 5 years and repaint everything, that's what's going to happen, unless you want to deal with the actual problem. I live right here next to the rink. Every night, every 15 to 20 four-wheelers or dirt bikes whip by my house up back through the Matheson property. I've never seen them pulled over by a cop. I've never even seen a policeman chase them. That's all I ask for. I understand they might be tricky to catch, but I've never even seen a policeman around to try and confront them. And this goes on night after night after night. This is the type of thing that we have to address, all right? Because we can go back in there and we can fix it up and we can hang all the signs again, and exactly what happened. They'll steal all the signs, they'll paint the trees, they'll cut everything down. Okay, we've been through this before. So let's try and deal with the problem itself, which is getting some kind of, bylaw enforcement, law enforcement, whatever it is, to patrol what's going on up there. That's what people want. And that's why some of the people who use the Matheson property won't go up there, because they don't feel safe, especially around, dusk or dark, because they don't know what kind of crew is going to be hanging out in the woods up there. So all counts. We look at the real problem here. The real problem isn't that the signs are gone. It's who's stealing the signs and who's taking the signs down, and how do we deal with them? That's what we need to deal with.
Yeah, and the sign that we're talking about, the one sign is the one that showed the Mathesons, like it had some history to it. So
no, I understand that.
The other one's there, but yeah. So that needs to come to. We have police services at the end of the month here, and that should be on the agenda, Bob. That and we can talk to them before then, but in the meantime, for discussion purposes, we need to have some talk with the OPP at our next police service meeting at the end of the month, and but we'll make them aware before that, because it is an ongoing issue and it needs to be dealt with. So, so Councillor Webb, did you want to?
Oh, I just have. Yeah, I'll make that motion then.
Okay, that we bring this up at police services, seconded by Councillor Pomeroy. All in favor, and that's carried. Okay, and what else did you have, Hart? There, you're not on the new business, so go ahead.
Oh, yeah, no, I noticed at the end of last week that Duro Dummer we're opening up their offices, I believe, this week. So
yeah,
I was
they
just-
weren't open at all, so we're ahead of them there.
But the way I read it was that the public will be allowed to come into the office. Is
By
that true? By appointment only?
That's what I heard. I don't know. Well, we can check that out though. That's what I understand.
I think you should, because I think it said it was open to public, but
Okay. All right, and we're working on that too. But so, anyways, Councillor Pomeroy, you're muted.
I see in the paper where Norwood and Asphodel are proposing a bylaw, or they're having a meeting about marijuana. I just wondered if maybe we could get some information there, and we're going to have to do something.
Yeah, and
Okay.
that's
Can we put that on the next
meeting? That would be great.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot going on that we need to have some discussion in and find out more on. We have been following up a bit on some of these operations around, but there's a lot that we probably don't know about. So yeah, we need to deal with that. So, so moved by Councillor Pomeroy that we bring up, that we look into the cannabis regulation and find out more on that. So that's moved by Councillor Pomeroy and seconded by Councillor Webb. All in favor?
Comment, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I think our last council meeting, we had this similar discussion, and CAO Bob was going to try and get us some information from one of our neighboring municipalities, what bylaws and items they had in place. If you could,
Yeah, that was with regards to Trent Hills was doing a training session or like for council, I think it was, or for the public on how this works for medical use marijuana. So yeah, we were kind of asking if we could kind of be brought into that. Is that the one you mean?
I think part of the conversation, and I'll refer to CAO Bob, but I think some of the discussion was around how a municipality receives information about the cannabis and growing and all the particulars around that. I think that was part.
So it was a little broken up, but I think we know what you're saying.
Really tap into one of our, I guess that was part of the conversation. If I could, Bob.
We're going to use Larry's video here for the need for high-speed internet, because he's a good example right now on how we're trying to do business, and it's getting broken up. In fact, I think he's froze right now. So I don't know whether he'll hear you, Bob, but you can maybe answer him.
Yes. Through you, Mayor Martin, staff is working on getting a presentation for council. Our intention is to bring an expert to a council meeting that can walk us through this process, exactly how the legislation works, how municipalities are informed, and just take us from A to Z through the entire process. So we're working on that, and we're hoping to have that, if not at the next council meeting, then the one after.
Okay, that's good. I think that's what, well, there's more to it. I think Larry, what he was trying to find out is to know, I think part of the thing is we know that we're supposed to know where these things are, or we think we are anyways. So that's the part we're trying to find out if these ones are legal now. But Larry's fell off the screen again here. So Hart, you had something there, and then okay. So a motion to receive the new business, I guess. Do you need that, Bob? Okay, Councillor Webb, seconder, Councillor Pomeroy, all in favor of that? And that's carried. We don't have any bylaws. One will come to the next meeting for what we talked about earlier. So I'm looking for a confirming bylaw for today's meeting. Moved by Councillor Webb, seconded by Deputy Mayor Giroux. And all in favor of that? And that's carried. So we do have a closed session. Oh, Barry. Oh yeah, I got to do the motion to adjourn. Sorry, Barry, I missed you. Moved by Councillor Pomeroy that we adjourn, And the seconder, Councillor Webb, all in favor, and that's carried. Larry, you missed out on the adjournment, but we did have the discussion and we did finish. You can watch it later, but I think we covered everything. Okay, so we've adjourned and we do have a close.